Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hello, welcome in. Second intermission. Jesse Montano, Meghan, Angley. Well, that was quite the turnaround. We said after that first period, it was nowhere near good enough from the Colorado Avalanche. They lacked intensity. They lacked purpose in what they were doing. And we said at the end of that first intermission that this was going to be a big moment for the Avs. They needed a big response. Given the importance of this game, the few number of games that are left, Meghan, before the Four Nations break, we said we need to see this group respond. That's exactly what they did. 3 straight goals in the second period. They go from trailing 1-0 after 1 to up 3-1 heading into the final frame. What was different?
You know, Cale Makar goal gave them life. It was early into that second period, and it felt like a completely different team for the rest of the second. And I think that intensity starts with the leaders. They have to lead by example in that sense. And it's not to say it's the leaders' fault that they lacked intensity in the first period, but it shows the difference it can make, because then the hockey that led up to the Makar goal demonstrated it wasn't just from the goal, it was what created it in the first place. And that starts with a mentality change in between periods to reset and come better, the drop of the puck in the second period. And that's exactly what they did. They maintained possession, moved the puck around the perimeter, and McKinnon spotted Makar, who had circled back into the zone, and he caught the puck and beat Kadri to the net and just beats a good goaltender. They needed to get that kind of translation too, because I think Necas, a player that, especially in the second period, doing all of the right things, finally gets rewarded at the end of it. But you started to see them doing more of the right things, followed by the Cale Makar goal, and it definitely gave them new life.
I made a comment to you, I believe it was after the second goal, and really the Avs had just been kind of dominating from the very beginning of that second period, where they came out, they were on the gas, they were taking it to the Calgary Flames. Took them just 80 seconds to get the game tied up. And I said to you, this is how you should be treating the Calgary Flames. Because I do think the Avs are a much better team than the Calgary Flames, both on paper and when these teams are at their best. And like you said, the Avs were on their toes. They were heavy on the wall, winning puck battles. And there was even one play where Calgary, I believe it was on a power play, Calgary made 4 or 5 good attempts to get the puck out, and the Avs just would not give them that blue line. They kept the play alive. Nothing ended up coming of it, but again, I just like the fact that they were able to pin Calgary in their own zone through hard work, not fancy passing, not great individual efforts, and there was plenty of both of those things in the period, but just working harder than the Calgary Flames. And to me, that was the difference in this period. And yes, it translates to more puck time, puck on stick time for the Avs. Great play from Necas, really nice shot from Cale Makar, really nice shot from Nathan MacKinnon. But it all starts with the hard work. And I felt like that is what was missing in the first period.
Yeah, and you see the way in which the work rewards them. They generate more chances on net, which eliminates time spent in their own end defending. And they hold Calgary to just 4 shots in the second period, generating 17 of their own. And you look at the mistakes. The attention to detail is also supported by the hard work. They had about 9 giveaways, I think it was, in the first period, and they only have a handful, 2 or 3, in the second period. And I think all of it feeds each other. When they're playing with a little more intensity, they're paying more attention to the details. So they're making fewer mistakes. They're putting more pucks on net, which is just extending their zone time. And that creates a vulnerability on behalf of Calgary. It's going to lead to more tired players and just more opportunities to get them tired. And I think that's how you beat a goaltender like Dustin Wolf.
I couldn't agree with you more. You hear people talk about in the playoffs, you want to finish your checks. You want to hit every player that has a puck, because by the time you get to the end of a 7-game series, it's going to catch up with them. It's going to hurt. They're not going to want to take that hit. It's the same philosophy here with what you're talking about with Dustin Wolf. And what I felt like the Avs didn't do enough of a couple nights ago in Vancouver, make the goalie feel it. maybe it's not going to go in and maybe you don't have a passing play, but instead of sending that puck to the corner and trying someone to go, chase it, who's getting a line change, no, throw it on the net and make him swallow it up, get a face off, or just make him feel it. Make him, get up and down, pushing side to side, covering from post to post. Make the goalie do that. And I felt like that was a lot of what they did in that second period, was just putting the pucks to the net. Power play looked, refreshing. They were able to capitalize on their chance there. And they had multiple chances in that period, only were able to capitalize on one, which is fine. But I felt like that first power play that they had right after they had gone up 2-1, you and I were saying, hey, a goal here really puts you in good shape. They didn't get the goal, but I felt like they controlled the puck. And that just feeds more into what you were talking about of just being able to build on your own play.
I am chuckling a little because there was a brief moment where they allowed what looked like a shorthanded chance against, but they collected themselves and they didn't allow one little mistake, which happens, to lead to a poor rest of the power play. And I think that's important for them to reset from inevitable mistakes that happen too, smartly. And I think sometimes they panic and they try to overcorrect after mistakes, and that's what leads to more mistakes. And I think they trusted themselves a lot more. And you just look at the way in which the Stars in particular took over in the second period. So much of what went well for them was led by the top line with Netchus and McKinnon. Great goaltending from Mackenzie Blackwood again, but stellar play from Makar on the back end as well. And I think we already know at this point what he means to this team and the kind of impact that he can have. But together, when you've got Nathan McKinnon having a 3-point night and Cale Makar getting his 20th goal of the season, there's a reason why this is the core that leads this team and wears a letter on their jersey.
Let's talk about Miles Wood, because he was definitely the scapegoat's not the right word. He made some mistakes at the end of that Vancouver game. Did not play within himself, got carried away, put the team in a really tough spot in the last few minutes when they were trying to push. Nathan McKinnon takes a big hit in the neutral zone. Miles Wood comes to his defense, does end up getting the additional instigator penalty. I just want your thoughts on Miles Wood stepping in there after a big hit late on Nathan McKinnon. Not just what are your thoughts on Miles Wood doing that, but your thoughts on Miles Wood doing that on the heels of everything that we saw a couple nights ago in Vancouver.
Adam Klipka is 6'8". Just want to acknowledge that for a second.
Yeah.
I found his behavior in the Vancouver game inexcusable. It was so undisciplined to the point of being comical. And I was puzzled walking away from it. Like, what is he doing? He lost his GD mind.
Yeah.
And the more I sit with it, there's a lot of pressure after almost missing 2 months of hockey. Wood found a role on this team as a gritty third-line player who uses his speed to his advantage, and the 5v5 production really wasn't there for him last year. I feel like some of his best hockey came in the playoffs. Players in his absence, like Kelly and Kiviranta, though different, have found ways to contribute similarly. And when you look at the contract and the term that Wood has signed for in Colorado, it adds pressure then to his return that he needs to demonstrate his value to the lineup. Jared Bednar described it as fun in looking at how the bottom six picture has come together and the competition that exists between these players and how they'll each have to separate in different ways. And I don't know how to feel about it, but I do imagine that being the player that will step up for your teammates, and maybe it's unconscious to him, maybe that's just the way that he is, because there's an undisciplined version of Miles Wood from New Jersey that we all know about, and we thought he cleaned up his act a lot coming to Colorado last year. But I guess, that can be the thing that separates him, and I don't hate seeing him stand up for Nathan McKinnon after he gets hit pretty hard. So I have mixed feelings about it in that the undisciplined nature of the Vancouver game is right in my rear view. So I don't want it to become something that costs the team the way that it did. But I love that it can be something that allows Miles Wood to separate from some of these other guys I just mentioned.
You make such an interesting point that truthfully hadn't crossed my mind. Miles Wood's got to know. He's got to hear the chatter. He's got to look at the salary cap and see the fact that they were just willing to trade Mikko Rantanen. And he's probably saying, yeah, I'd be an easy way to clear some cap space out. I need to prove my worth on this group. Here's what I don't like about it from Miles Wood's perspective. This is a guy nursing a back injury. or not nursing a back injury, but kind of who has a perpetual back injury. And I think we made the joke the other day, like, this guy's got to stop slamming himself into every wall. I make the joke all the time. He's Luis Mendoza out there from D2. All gas, zero brakes. And he's got to find a way to play with, like I said, play within himself a bit here. I like your call out there, Meghan, genuinely. I think he is playing with a little bit of intensity of proving his worth. Play within your own game a bit. I like him standing up for Nathan MacKinnon in this instance.
I do too.
But like you said, it's hard with that memory so fresh in your brain from a couple nights ago.
And just knowing that Nathan MacKinnon has a willingness to stand up for himself, you do kind of like this filter then between the two, that it wouldn't be necessary. And I think to Miles Wood's credit, I think it's possible for all players to be better than they once were in Colorado. And I think, after this first season of Miles Wood under his belt, we got a glimpse of what he could be, and he could be more disciplined than we'd seen previously. So I'm not going to hold that against him entirely, and I'm going to hold out some optimism that he can be better than especially and certainly what we saw in the Vancouver game, but even than anything we've seen even last year. That's kind of my hope for him, is that rehabilitation factor that we talk about with players like Lehkonen and Manson and Nichushkin. Can it exist for Miles Wood? It's in his hands at this point. There's a lot of pressure around him. I want to see him meet it with intensity in a good way, in a productive way.
Intensity and intention. 3 goals in that period from the Avs. First one, Cale Makar from Nathan MacKinnon and Devon Taves. Second one, Arturi Lehkonen from Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Netchis. Third goal, Marty Netchis from Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar on the power play. You made the call out that you wanted to see the Stars and the leaders of this group respond. They did that. Now with a 2-goal lead, you'd like to see the depth kick one in to help, put this game a little bit further out of reach. 3-point night for Nathan MacKinnon, 2-point night for Marty Netchis, 2-point night for Cale Makar. You're getting everything you want out of your depth, and out of the top half of your lineup. And look, if the top half of your lineup is going to carry you over the finish line, nobody is going to complain about that. But this does feel like a good time for a Jack Drury or a Ross Colton or Miles Wood or Sam Malinsky to maybe get that one back from the first period. You got to imagine that that's maybe what Jared Bednar's hoping for, right?
Yes, because even though they've put this game in a really good place with the strong play of their stars, and it's intentional, like they were throwing everything at the net. And so they didn't just get lucky. It was born from hard work, right? You want the formula, though, for the Avs' success to start clicking. And so even though they could win this game 3-1 if nothing else changes going into the third, you want to see them find the winning formula, and that does include depth, especially in a 7-game series. So you do want to see them find a way to contribute, especially if the game is in kind of a soft and sweet spot at the moment. I hope Joe Farabee is okay, but that does make the matchups then different for Colorado's depth. It gives them a little bit of an advantage to capitalize on Calgary's depth too. So I'm looking at them to continue to respond with intensity.
Do you consider Casey Middlestat depth?
I do.
In this instance, yeah.
I do, because it hasn't been a solidified second line for long enough. And so in my mind, it's sort of like an additional third line. And even their third line was really a fourth line for the longest time. So I'll take a Casey Middlestat goal and call it a day.
If you get Casey going on that second unit, again, like you said, they win this game 3-1, no one's going to be upset. Oh man, your best players were your best players. But I really do think that it would go a long way with just everything that we were talking about in terms of dialing up the intensity, playoff-like mentality, taking care of business in these games. I do think it would go a long way to see that depth kick in and contribute here and help get the Avs over the finish line here. I want to finish talking real quick just with Marty Netchis. We've obviously talked about him a lot over the last couple of weeks, but I sent out the tweet. The move he makes before setting up MacKinnon, which then sets up Lehkonen, is a very MacKinnon-esque move. Peels off the wall, steps away from 2 guys, finds a pass or finds a seam, makes a pass, and then goes to the net later on the power play to tip in a goal. I just think, and Evan Rowell, I got to give big credit to him. He was the first one that really kind of pointed it out and asked Nate about it. Hey, playing with another righty. You played with Mikko Rantanen as your guy for so long. Arturi Lehkonen now for the last handful of years. I think we maybe didn't anticipate how dynamic having another righty out there with Nathan MacKinnon was going to make that line, because of how much it forces Nathan MacKinnon out of his comfort zone and off of that left wall.
They have such a good instinct for each other off the bat, too. The way that they rotate on the power play, whether it be Nate moving to below the goal line and Necas is now in that left circle, they both seem to have a good feel for what the other is doing to put themselves in more dangerous places. And similarly, on this play you're talking about with Necas, he capitalizes on Matt Coronado trying to make an exit and bobbling the puck, steals the puck, then takes it to the wall. And that allows MacKinnon to move to the top of the slot in perfect position for the reception of that pass. And I feel like ordinarily you'd probably see MacKinnon where Necas was in that play. And it's just the options then that it provides to have the right shot in both these players, but also how much they seem to understand and anticipate each other is something I don't want to underestimate. To have them come in and click so instantly is very, very fortunate. And a testament to, scouting staff really seeing Necas' fit in Colorado with MacKinnon. And I think a testament to both players working with each other extra one-on-one to ensure this is a good fit.
Key for the third period as the Avs look to close this one out.
Miles Wood goal.
Hey, there you go. I like it. Keep it simple, right? Easy. That's going to do it for us here. Second intermission, Avs Flames getting ready to drop the puck on the third period. Avs carrying a 3-1 lead into this final frame. We'll see if they can close it out. Big time points up for grabs. The Avs would not only like to get this one done, Meghan, but probably like to do it in regulation as well to keep Calgary from being able to make up any kind of ground there.
Yeah, and they're playing Edmonton tomorrow, so don't make your life hard.
Don't make your life harder. She's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. Mark behind the glass tonight. We'll be back post-game right here. We will see you guys then.